For centuries, people feared touching this plant because of its sting. A single brush against its leaves could leave your skin burning, red, and itching for hours. Farmers avoided it. Children were warned to stay away from it. And yet, this same plant that punishes careless hands has quietly fed, healed, clothed, and sustained entire civilizations. It has been steeped into teas by grandmothers in the Alps, cooked into soups during wartime famines, spun into fabric by ancient weavers, and studied today in modern laboratories for its surprising effects on the human body. This is the story of stinging nettle, one of the most misunderstood plants on Earth, and one of the most quietly powerful. Stinging nettle, known scientifically as Urtica dioica, is a tall, leafy perennial that grows wild across Europe, Asia, North Africa, and parts of North America. You will find it along riverbanks, in shaded forests, in abandoned fields, and even in the cracks of old stone walls. It thrives in nitrogen-rich soil, often springing up wherever humans have lived, farmed or built for generations, which is why old settlements are sometimes identified by archaeologists simply by the presence of thick nettle patches nearby. This plant does not ask for attention. It grows quietly, spreads aggressively, and defends itself fiercely. But underneath its intimidating reputation lies a nutritional and medicinal history that stretches back thousands of years, from ancient Greek physicians to medieval herbalists to modern nutrition scientists who are only now beginning to fully understand what traditional healers seem to know instinctively. To understand nettle, you first have to understand why it stings. The leaves and stems are covered in tiny, hollow hairs called trichomes, which act like microscopic hypodermic needles. When you touch them, the tip breaks off, and the hair injects a cocktail of natural chemicals, including histamine, formic acid, and other irritating compounds, directly into your skin. This is the plant's defense mechanism, and it works remarkably well against grazing animals and curious hands alike. The leaves themselves are heart-shaped or oval, deeply toothed along the edges, with a rich, dark green color and a rough, slightly fuzzy texture, even where the stinging hairs are less concentrated. The plant grows in tall, upright clusters, sometimes reaching 4 to 7 feet in height, with squarish stems similar to those found in the mint family. In late spring and summer, nettle produces small, drooping clusters of greenish flowers, and because it is dioecious, meaning individual plants are either male or female, you will often find separate patches producing different types of blooms. Later in the season, tiny seeds form in delicate hanging strands, which some herbalists harvest separately from the leaves for their own distinct nutritional profile. Identifying nettle safely is fairly straightforward once you know what to look for. The jagged, saw-toothed leaf edges, the square stem, the fine hairs visible when leaves are held up to the light, and the telltale sting upon contact are the clearest indicators. Experienced foragers recommend wearing thick gloves and long sleeves when harvesting, and using scissors or shears to cut the top few inches of the plant, which is typically the most tender and nutrient-dense part. Early spring growth, before the plant flowers, is considered the best time to harvest, both for flavor and for nutritional content. Once flowering begins, the leaves develop compounds that are less desirable for regular consumption, so timing matters. The good news is that the sting is entirely neutralized by heat, drying, or blending. Boiling, steaming, sautéing, or thoroughly drying the leaves breaks down the stinging compounds completely, which is why nettle has been safely eaten as a cooked green for thousands of years, despite its fearsome reputation in the wild. Now let's talk about what makes this plant nutritionally remarkable. Nettle leaves are exceptionally rich in vitamin A, particularly in the form of beta-carotene, which supports vision, immune function, and skin health. They also contain a substantial amount of vitamin C, an antioxidant vitamin that supports collagen production and immune defense, especially when the leaves are eaten fresh or lightly cooked rather than boiled for long periods, which can reduce vitamin C content. Perhaps most notably, nettle is one of the richest plant sources of vitamin K, a nutrient essential for proper blood clotting and bone metabolism. Mineral-wise, nettle is impressively dense. It contains meaningful amounts of iron, which is why it has traditionally been used to support people feeling fatigued or run down. It also delivers calcium and magnesium, two minerals crucial for bone strength, muscle function, and nervous system regulation, along with potassium, which plays a key role in maintaining healthy blood pressure and fluid balance. Beyond vitamins and minerals, nettle contains a surprising amount of protein for a leafy green, along with a range of polyphenol antioxidants, including quercetin and kaempferol, compounds that researchers believe help the body neutralize oxidative stress, the kind of cellular damage linked to aging and chronic disease. This combination of vitamins, minerals, protein, and antioxidants is precisely why herbalists have long referred to nettle as a natural tonic, a plant meant to gently nourish the whole body rather than target one single symptom. This brings us to the heart of nettle's reputation, its wide-ranging traditional and scientifically studied health benefits. It's important to be clear from the outset that nettle is not a cure for any disease, and no responsible health communicator should ever claim otherwise. What we can say, based on centuries of traditional use and a growing body of modern research, is that nettle may support several aspects of health, and in some cases, science is beginning to explain why traditional healers valued it so highly. Let's start with kidney and urinary tract health, one of nettle's oldest traditional applications. Herbalists across Europe have used nettle leaf and nettle root teas for generations to support healthy urinary flow and to help the body naturally flush excess fluid. Some modern research, including laboratory and animal studies, suggests nettle may have mild diuretic properties, encouraging the kidneys to process fluid more efficiently. While large-scale human clinical trials are still limited, this traditional use remains one of the most consistent themes across different cultures and centuries, from German folk medicine to Eastern European herbal practice. Closely related is nettle's traditional use for prostate and urinary comfort in men, particularly nettle root, which has been studied specifically for benign prostatic hyperplasia, a common condition in older men involving prostate enlargement. Several human clinical trials, particularly research coming out of Germany and Turkey, have examined nettle root extract, sometimes combined with other herbs like saw palmetto, and found it may help support urinary symptoms associated with an enlarged prostate. Researchers believe certain compounds in the root may interact with hormone pathways involved in prostate tissue growth. This remains an active area of study, and while results are promising, nettle root should be viewed as a complementary approach discussed with a healthcare provider, not a replacement for medical treatment. When it comes to heart health and circulation, nettle's mineral content, particularly potassium and magnesium, has led researchers to investigate its effects on blood pressure. Some animal studies have shown that nettle extract may help relax blood vessels and support healthy circulation, and a small number of human studies suggest modest blood pressure benefits when nettle is used alongside a healthy diet. Traditional Persian and Eastern European medicine have long used nettle as a gentle cardiovascular tonic, believed to support healthy blood flow and vessel elasticity, though modern human research is still catching up to these traditional claims. Inflammation is another area where nettle has captured serious scientific attention. Chronic low-grade inflammation is now understood to play a role in many long-term health conditions, and nettle leaf contains compounds, including certain flavonoids and carotenoids, that have shown anti-inflammatory activity in laboratory studies. This is closely tied to nettle's traditional use for joint comfort. In fact, one of the oldest and strangest folk remedies involving nettle is something called urtication, the deliberate practice of pressing fresh, stinging nettle leaves against sore joints or aching muscles. It sounds counterintuitive, intentionally stinging yourself to relieve pain. But this practice has persisted in rural European communities for centuries, and some researchers believe the mild irritation may trigger the body's own natural pain-modulating response. Separately, oral nettle leaf extract has been studied for joint comfort in conditions like osteoarthritis, with some small human trials suggesting modest improvements in comfort and mobility when combined with conventional approaches, though nettle should never replace prescribed treatment for joint conditions. Fatigue and low energy have historically been addressed with nettle largely because of its iron content. Iron is essential for producing hemoglobin, the protein in red blood cells that carries oxygen throughout the body. For people with mild iron deficiency, particularly menstruating women, nettle has traditionally been used as a gentle iron-rich tonic. It's worth noting that the iron in plant foods, called non-heme iron, is absorbed less efficiently than iron from animal sources, but pairing nettle with vitamin C-rich foods can enhance absorption, which may explain why traditional preparations often combined nettle with citrus, rose hips, or other vitamin C-rich ingredients. Emerging research has also looked at nettle's relationship with blood sugar regulation. Several animal studies and a handful of small human trials have investigated whether nettle leaf extract may help support healthy blood glucose levels, possibly by influencing how the body processes carbohydrates, or by supporting insulin sensitivity. The results so far are encouraging but preliminary, and researchers are careful to note that nettle should never be used as a substitute for prescribed diabetes medication. Anyone managing blood sugar conditions should consult their physician before adding nettle supplements to their routine, particularly because of potential interactions with blood sugar lowering medications. Digestive health is another traditional use worth mentioning. Nettle has historically been consumed as a mild bitter green, and bitter plants have long been used across cultures to stimulate digestive secretions and support healthy gut function. Its fiber content also contributes to digestive regularity when consumed as part of a balanced diet. Nettle's antioxidant and vitamin content has also linked it to traditional immune support practices, particularly during cold and flu season, when nettle tea was commonly consumed across northern and eastern Europe as a warming, nourishing beverage believed to help the body cope with seasonal stress. While modern research on nettle's direct effects on immune cells is still developing, its vitamin C and antioxidant content align with general nutritional science supporting immune health. The idea of detoxification is often overstated in wellness culture, but nettle's traditional role here is more nuanced than trendy detox teas suggest. Because of its mild diuretic properties and nutrient density, nettle has traditionally been used in seasonal cleansing rituals, particularly in spring, when fresh young leaves were consumed after long winters of preserved mineral-poor foods. Rather than flushing toxins, in the way modern marketing often implies, nettle's benefit here is best understood as replenishing the body with vitamins and minerals that may have been lacking, supporting the liver and kidneys, which are the body's actual detoxification organs, in their normal function. For weight management, nettle is not a fat-burning miracle, and any claim suggesting otherwise should be treated with skepticism. What nettle tea may offer is a low-calorie, mineral-rich beverage that supports hydration, and staying well hydrated is closely linked to healthy appetite regulation, since thirst is often mistaken for hunger. Some people also use nettle tea as part of a mindful eating ritual, a warm beverage consumed before meals that may support portion awareness. Realistically, nettle should be viewed as a supportive addition to an already healthy, balanced diet and regular physical activity, not a shortcut or a substitute for those fundamentals. Athletes and physically active individuals have also turned to nettle for exercise recovery, largely because of its anti-inflammatory properties and mineral content, particularly magnesium, which plays a role in muscle relaxation and recovery. Herbalists have traditionally recommended nettle infusions after intense physical activity, and modern sports nutrition circles have taken renewed interest in this old practice, viewing nettle as a natural, nutrient-dense recovery beverage. Now let's turn to something that has made nettle a favourite in the world of natural cosmetology. If you've ever seen nettle listed as an ingredient in shampoo, you might have wondered why. The answer lies in its impressive concentration of silica, sulfur, and B vitamins, nutrients associated with healthy hair structure. Traditionally, nettle leaf rinses have been used across Europe to strengthen hair, reduce shedding, and support a healthy scalp environment. Some research suggests nettle may help regulate oil production on the scalp, which is why it has also been used traditionally for dandruff and for those with oily scalp conditions. The theory is that nettle's astringent properties help balance excess sebum, the natural oil produced by the scalp, potentially reducing flakiness and improving overall scalp comfort. For hair growth specifically, some believe nettle may help block an enzyme related to hair thinning, similar to mechanisms studied in nettle root for prostate health. Though human research specifically on nettle for hair growth remains limited and largely anecdotal, passed down through generations of herbal practice, rather than confirmed through large clinical trials. For the skin, nettle's astringent and anti-inflammatory qualities have made it a popular ingredient in natural toners, particularly for those with oily or acne-prone skin. Nettle-infused toners are traditionally used to help tighten the appearance of pores and calm minor skin irritation. Because nettle also contains antioxidants that may help protect skin cells from environmental stress, it has found its way into a wide range of natural beauty products, from facial steams to homemade masks combining nettle powder with clay or honey. Herbalists often describe nettle as a green mineral bath for the skin, nourishing rather than aggressive, which fits well within the growing natural beauty movement that favours gentle, plant-based ingredients over harsh synthetic alternatives. Given everything nettle offers, you might be wondering how people actually use it day to day. The most common preparation is nettle tea, made by steeping either fresh or dried leaves in hot water for around 10 minutes, producing an earthy, slightly grassy infusion, often compared to green tea, but with a deeper, more mineral-rich flavour. Nettle soup is a beloved traditional dish across many European countries, particularly in early spring, when young leaves are simmered with potatoes, onions, and broth into a warming, nutrient-dense meal. Nettle can also be blended into green smoothies once cooked or properly wilted, adding a nutritional boost without overpowering other flavours. Dried nettle leaf powder is another versatile option, easily stirred into soups, sauces, or baked goods, allowing people to benefit from its nutrient profile even outside of nettle season. Herbalists also prepare nettle tinctures, concentrated liquid extracts made by soaking the plant in alcohol over several weeks, used in small doses as a convenient, shelf-stable herbal preparation. For hair care, nettle-infused rinses are made by steeping the leaves in water, cooling the liquid, and using it as a final hair rinse after shampooing. Across European folk cooking, nettle has appeared in everything from savoury pies to fermented beverages, and modern wellness culture has embraced it in everything from nettle pesto to protein-boosted energy balls, proving that this humble weed has remarkable culinary versatility once its sting is properly neutralised. As appealing as nettle is, it's important to approach it with the same care you would any potent natural substance. People who are pregnant should generally avoid medicinal doses of nettle, particularly nettle root and concentrated extracts, as some traditional sources suggest it may stimulate uterine activity, and it's always best to consult a healthcare provider before using herbal preparations during pregnancy. Those with known allergies to plants in the nettle family should exercise caution, and anyone trying nettle for the first time should start with small amounts to monitor for any allergic reaction, which, though uncommon, can occur with any plant-based food or supplement. People with kidney disease should speak with their doctor before using nettle regularly, particularly because of its mild diuretic effect and its potassium content, which may not be appropriate for certain kidney conditions. Nettle may also interact with certain medications, including blood thinners due to its vitamin K content, as well as diuretics, blood pressure medications, and diabetes medications, since it may amplify their effects. Anyone currently taking prescription medication, particularly for heart conditions, blood sugar, or blood clotting, should talk to a healthcare provider before adding regular nettle supplementation to their routine. As with any herbal remedy, nettle should complement, not replace, professional medical guidance. Beyond its role in food and medicine, nettle carries a surprisingly rich cultural history that most people never learn in school. For thousands of years, the tough fibrous stems of the nettle plant were processed and spun into a strong, linen-like fabric. Archaeologists have found nettle fibre textiles dating back to the Bronze Age, and during both World Wars, when cotton supplies were scarce, Germany reportedly used nettle fibre to help produce military uniforms. A remarkable fact, considering how many people know this plant only for its sting. Nettle has also played a critical role during times of hardship and famine. In difficult periods throughout European history, when food was scarce, wild-growing nettle became an essential, life-sustaining source of nutrition for entire communities, precisely because it grows abundantly, requires no cultivation, and delivers a nutritional punch far beyond what its humble appearance suggests. In the natural world, nettle plays another quiet but essential role. It serves as the primary food source for the caterpillars of several beloved butterfly species, including the red admiral, the peacock butterfly, and the small tortoiseshell. Without patches of wild nettle, these butterfly populations would struggle to survive, making this so-called weed a hidden pillar of local ecosystems. Even today, nettle has not faded into obscurity. Herbalists continue to recommend it, athletes brew it into recovery teas, and foragers still seek it out each spring, proving that this ancient plant remains just as relevant now as it was centuries ago. There is something profoundly poetic about stinging nettle. It is a plant that punishes carelessness, yet rewards patience and respect. It grows where it is least welcomed, in forgotten fields, neglected corners, and cracked stone walls, and yet it has quietly fed the hungry, eased the aching, strengthened the weak, and clothed the cold for thousands of years. It asks nothing of us except caution and understanding, and in return, it offers a depth of nourishment and healing tradition that few plants can match. In a world constantly searching for the next exotic superfood, perhaps the most remarkable lesson stinging nettle teaches us is that some of nature's greatest gifts were never hiding in some distant rainforest at all. They were growing quietly at the edge of the path, waiting patiently for centuries to finally be understood.